Did you know Antoine Semenyo nearly disappeared from football before the Premier League ever noticed him? This isn't a breakout story you already know. It's the hidden road, rejections, Sunday League, college football, and quiet habits that shaped his rise. These are the 10 things you didn't know about Antoine Semenyo. Number 10. He doesn't even like being called Antoine. Semenyo often jokes that Antoine feels like the version your mum uses when she's telling you off, so he'd rather be called Ant, Ants, or Tony. That's a small detail, but it explains something. He's not a branding first player. Even his full name is longer than most fans realize, Antoine Semenyo. Yet he keeps it simple and lets the football do the talking. He even calls it his full government name, laughing at how formal it sounds. It also tracks with his rise. When your route is Sunday League, college football and loans, you don't grow up being marketed like a wonder kid. You grow up being called whatever the dressing room calls you. So if you hear ants shouted on the touchline, that's not a meme. It's literally what he asked for from day one. Number 9. His footballing idols. Growing up, Semenyo's attacking inspirations were Didier Drogba, Asamoah Gyan, and the Ayew brothers, players known for power, timing, and big moment mentality. But the underrated part is what he did with that inspiration later. When he was sidelined for 4 months at Bristol City after surgery on a torn meniscus, he didn't waste the time. He went on Hoodle to break down his own clips, then scoured YouTube footage of Drogba, Thierry Henry, and Michail Antonio to copy specific movements and decisions. He's said he noticed moments where defenders made mistakes or the ball dropped in the box, and he simply wasn't there. So he adjusted his habits, gamble earlier, arrive more, and turn chaos into goals. Now that's fan behavior turned pro-level self-coaching. Number 8. His father was a professional football player. Semenyo's dad, Larry, grew up in Accra and played professionally in Ghana, including time at Okwawu United, where he played alongside Tony Yeboah, the same Tony Yeboah English fans still remember from his Leeds days. That detail matters because football in Semenyo's house wasn't treated like fantasy, it was treated like work. When Antoine started getting rejected by academies, he said those were the hardest moments because he'd get back into the car, crying, and talk it through with his dad. Instead of letting rejection become a label, the family made it a lesson. Semenyo has openly said he owes a lot to his family's support, and that stability is a big reason he didn't spiral when the pathway closed. Even now, he keeps that same grounded tone, linking his discipline to faith, praying regularly, and calling himself a man of God. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second to like the video and subscribe to Goal 90. Let's continue, because once you zoom in on the people around him inside football, the story gets even more revealing. Number 7. His engagement story. In November 2025, Semenyo proposed to his longtime girlfriend, Jordine Buckley, but it didn't happen in a neat planned off-season window. Reports said he left Ghana's national team camp after suffering a left ankle injury, returned to the UK for treatment, and used that same break to propose. The same reporting described an intimate setting, Semenyo going down on one knee, and Buckley described as a London-based model and social media influencer sharing the moment on Instagram, including a caption quoting Song of Solomon. It even frames the proposal as happening during his recovery window, not after some perfect run of form. The relationship stayed out of headlines until he chose to share it himself. That's what makes it feel real. No PR tour, no over-explaining. It's a life update, then straight back to rehab and matches. For fans, it's a reminder he's built on routine and loyalty, not hype. Number 6. His taste in cars. As his Premier League career took off, Semenyo didn't turn his lifestyle into a content series. He went for a set of cars that signal milestones, not constant flexing. The headline one is an Audi R8, low, loud, and very "I earned this," especially for a player who had to rebuild his path the hard way. Then comes the Lamborghini Urus, the practical performance pick, big enough for real life, but still fast and aggressive. Netizens have also linked him to a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, which fits the same theme: comfort, understated status, and long-distance ease. Put together, it's not a massive collection, it's a tight trio that matches his story. Reward the grind, keep the circle small, and let the football stay the main attention. It's the late bloomer mindset. Lock in comfort, pick one dream car, and keep moving forward, always quietly. Number 5. He quit football completely for almost a whole year. For most players, rejection hurts. For Antoine Semenyo, it almost ended everything. After being released by Crystal Palace at 15, following earlier disappointments at other academies, he didn't bounce straight back into another setup. he stepped away from football entirely. No club, no coach, no development plan. For nearly a year, he stopped playing competitively and disappeared from the system. This matters because English football is ruthless with timing. Once you fall off the pathway, very few players ever find their way back on. During this period, Semenyo wasn't training like a professional or chasing trials every week. He was mentally resetting, questioning whether football was even realistic for him anymore. When he eventually returned, it wasn't with entitlement or expectation, it was with urgency. That gap year stripped away fear. If football could already be taken from him once, there was nothing left to protect. That mindset still shows in how directly and aggressively he plays today. Number 4, he left home at 16. Instead of staying in London waiting for another academy call, Semenyo made a practical but risky decision. He moved away from home to pursue football alongside education. That meant balancing training, studying sports science, and living independently at an age when most players are still being driven to sessions by parents. There was no contract waiting at the end of it. If football failed again, education had to matter. That pressure forced maturity early. He learned how to manage his body, his schedule, and his mindset without constant supervision. Studying sports science also gave him a deeper understanding of recovery, strength, and injury prevention, knowledge that later gave him a physical edge. By the time professional football finally stabilized for him, he already knew how to survive without structure. Clubs didn't have to teach him responsibility. He arrived with it. Number 3, Sunday League football. Before professional stability, Semenyo played grassroots Sunday League football in South London. That environment is unforgiving. Heavy tackles, uneven pitches, little protection from referees, and constant physical challenges. You learn quickly whether you love football or just like the idea of it. For Semenyo, it built resilience. He learned how to protect himself, how to compete without complaining, and how to impose himself physically without fear. When defenders try to bully him now, it doesn't shock him, he's seen worse. That background explains why he doesn't shy away from duels, why he keeps driving forward after contact, and why he plays with a certain edge. It's not aggression, it's familiarity with chaos. And the next one is where the story really flips, because once he rebuilt himself in chaos, the numbers suddenly exploded. Number 2, that leap of faith. After settling into college football while continuing his studies, everything clicked. This wasn't a glamour pathway. No packed stands, no scouts watching every week. But with consistent minutes and freedom to play direct, Semenyo exploded. He reportedly scored close to 50 goals in a single season, overwhelming defenders rather than easing his way back in. The goals weren't built on complex tactics. They came from physical dominance, repetition, and confidence rediscovered. He learned how to finish through contact, attack space relentlessly, and impose himself on games. More importantly, this run changed how he saw himself. He wasn't a rejected prospect anymore, he was a problem. That college season didn't just restart his career, it rewired his belief in what he could do on a football pitch. Finally, at number 1, his two-footed abilities started at home. Before coaches ever corrected his technique, Semenyo's father, Larry, a former midfielder in Ghana, pushed him to use both feet constantly. Not through drills, but through everyday play. Kicking tins, paper balls, anything around the house, always alternating sides. There was no concept of a weak foot. That early freedom matters because it built natural balance instead of forced mechanics. When Semenyo shoots or crosses now, it doesn't look coached, it looks instinctive. Defenders struggle to predict his actions because he doesn't hesitate when switching feet. This foundation also helped him survive early rejection. Even when he was released, he still had tools that separated him physically and technically from others outside the system. His two-footedness wasn't polished later. It was baked in early, long before football felt like a career. If you want more deep dive stories like this, the ones that go beyond highlights and actually explain how players get here, make sure you subscribe, give the video a like, and stick around. The next one goes even deeper.